Hey everyone, Chris here with more stories in cardboard. Today I have some cards to show and probably a little more than usual. So I'm going to run through these pretty quick and I'm probably going to cut down the time that I spend talking about the cards. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the name behind my channel, and that's Stories in Cardboard. And it's because I do believe that cards tell a story. They tell a story about the players, about the coaches, about the teams, about the history of the hobby, and they also tell a story about the people who collect them. I think you can learn a lot about a person's personality by what they collect. And so I wanted to share some of those stories today that kind of tie into those things. And the first card I want to show is this one. It's a 1950 Bowman Otto Graham. And some people say this is his rookie card, but he does actually have a 1948 exhibits card also, which would probably be his true rookie card. But what I like about this card is I like that it's from the 1950 Bowman or from the 1950 football season. Now, the Browns previous played in the AAFC from 1946 until 1949, and the Browns won all four of those championships. They merged with the NFL in 1950, and a lot of the NFL teams did not think that the AAFC were a real league. They didn't think it was quality football, and they believed that they were superior to them. And so Burt Bell, who was the commissioner at the time, he scheduled the Browns' first football game. He scheduled them to play the two-time defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles, who were the class of the NFL at that time. They had won the NFL championship back to back in 1948 and 1949. And I'm sure everyone thought that the Eagles were really going to kind of lay it on the Browns. Now the Browns were ready. They had heard about how they didn't measure up and they weren't very good and they were going to get beaten down, and they ended up winning this game against the Eagles 35-10. Now Otto Graham played 10 years of professional football, and he played in a championship game, 4 in the AAFC and 6 in the NFL, all 10 years that he was a professional football player, and he won 6 world championships. Now, one of the reasons that the Browns were really ready for this game was because of their head football coach, Paul Brown. He was a great football coach and an innovator of a lot of the systems that you see being used today, including using game film to study and prepare for games, and also to use a playbook. Now, he kind of envisioned that the Browns were going to play the Eagles someday, and he actually scouted the Eagles 2 years prior to actually playing them. So he was definitely ready. Now, another player that was on that 1950 Cleveland Browns team was this man, Marion Motley. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer, and Marion Motley, along with Bill Willis, integrated pro football in 1946. They were the first black players. They played in the same game. They were on the same team, but they were the first black players in modern football to play professional football. And he, along with Bill Willis, actually integrated pro football 7 months before Jackie Robinson actually integrated Major League Baseball. I think it's a shame that more people don't talk about him and his special place in football history, or in sports history for that matter. He played a large part in integrating professional sports. Here's another person who played a big part in that, and that's the LA Rams' Kenny Washington. This is from the 1948 Bowman set, and Kenny Washington was the first black football player to sign an NFL contract. Another early pioneer for integrating professional football was this guy, also from the 1948 Bowman set, and this is Bob Mann. He played for the Detroit Lions. What I really find interesting, and it's easy to overlook because of the times we live in today, but it was unusual to have 2 black players on sports cards back then. And so this was really kind of groundbreaking and a little bit unusual for the time. And that's one of the things that I really love about card collecting is it kind of takes you back to a different time. Now, Bob Mann was the first black player to lead the NFL in receiving yards. He did that in his second year. Here's another player that kind of revolutionized professional football. This is Pete Gogolak. This is a 1965 Topps football card. He played for the Buffalo Bills. And what he is known for, he was a kicker, and he was the very first kicker to kick field goals using the soccer style that we are all familiar with today. Before that, kickers would do the straight-on kick, and he was the first player to use the soccer style kicking. Now, I know some people will probably disagree with me on this, but I think people like this deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because of what they did to revolutionize the sport. One of my all-time favorite cards is this card right here. And it's probably my favorite card in the 1971 Topps baseball set for a number of reasons. First, it's just a great looking card. It's a great image of Vita Blue and with that great looking A's uniform. And 1971 was just a magical season for him. He was 24-8. He had a 1.82 ERA, 8 shutouts, 301 strikeouts. It was just a fantastic year for him, in a year where he also won the American League Cy Young Award and the MVP. Now, when I was growing up and starting to really watch baseball in the 1970s, in 1978, Pete Rose had a big hitting streak going on. So it was really kind of exciting to check the newspaper every day and see if he had gotten a hit. And this was when I really started liking baseball a lot, and I was really starting to watch it and be interested in it. And what I really like about this card is it tells a story. It tells about his hitting streak the year previously. And this is from the 1979 Topps baseball set. So this is a great card that just kind of brings back a lot of memories for me personally. Now, another one of my favorite players growing up was Mike Schmidt. And the first cards that I opened up as a kid were 1981 Donruss for the baseball cards. And Mike Schmidt won back-to-back MVPs. And so when I got this card out of a pack, I just thought it was the coolest thing. A lot of people think it's not a great design and all of that, but I like it. I love the MVP down here at the bottom because it told you that Mike Schmidt was the best at that time. Now, a lot of you have seen where I've been picking up these Morrell Meets cards, and I've picked up a couple of cards from the 1961 set, and I picked this one up pretty recently also. And the reason is I love in the background where you see the LA Coliseum. I just think it's great. I think it's a part of history, and it's a card that really speaks to me when you see things like that. And again, I think it just tells a great story. Another thing that kind of defines me as a collector is I am very much a team card collector. And I love this card. It's a 1961 Pittsburgh Pirates team card. Now, some of the things that are unique about this is it's in the high number series, so it's a little more expensive than other cards in the lower series. And if you're not familiar with the way team cards worked back then, this is actually a picture of the 1960 Pirates team. They would show a picture of the team the previous year. And of course, the Pirates in 1960 are famous for their World Series upset of the New York Yankees. I love that card too because of the yellow background. I think it's just a beautiful card, and you have the yellow background here and that Pirates logo and kind of the orange team nameplate down there. Just a beautiful card in my opinion. I have two more cards now. This card just kind of shows the evolution of me as a collector. I've always liked the 1956 set more than the 1955 set, but I've really kind of started liking the 1955 set more lately. And I've probably seen this card 100 times, but for some reason it never really spoke to me until I saw it recently. And for whatever reason, I mean, I just fell in love with it. I love the jumping pose here by Phil Rizzuto, and then that great portrait photo of him with the big smile and the blue Yankees hat. And I think it just works really well with that yellow background and the blue nameplate at the bottom. And of course, you've got the famous Yankee logo up in the upper left-hand corner. I think it's just a great, great card, and I think it just kind of shows how I've evolved as a collector. Now, this next card is kind of special in that I think what it shows is it shows how collectors can kind of connect. And this was an interesting thing that happened a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. I don't remember exactly when. But I got a text from Terry of TJ Mack Vintage Cards and Nostalgia, and he showed me a card that he had just picked up on eBay. And what's funny about that was I had literally just in those same couple of minutes picked up the exact same card. And it's not like it's a Mickey Mantle card or Willie Mays or Hank Aaron or somebody real famous like that. It was this guy, Cookie Gilchrist. And he's probably not on a lot of people's want list, but both he and I really connect with this card. We love this card. We think he's a big part of AFL history. And it's a card we had both been looking for and kind of briefly talked about it to each other, but never really went beyond that. And I just think it's interesting that it shows you how sometimes collectors kind of connect on things that they collect in similar ways or similar cards. And so this is just kind of a cool card, and it's something that will kind of always remind me of that and how collectors can really connect with each other. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed these stories, and until next time, we will see you later.